I want to talk about the most common mistake that lead guitarists make. I've been teaching since '91 and I've seen this in most students, in myself, and I still see it in most top players today. It's a little mistake that people make about not knowing the mode they're in. A lot of people predominantly play in a sort of pentatonic scale and then they add a few mode tones to sort of spice it up melodically. And it's usually one note that throws you. There's a downside and an upside. The downside is if you're slowly playing melodically, you'll really sound ugly. If you're fast playing, you can get away with it with flashy playing. So the first thing I want to do is highlight the E minor pentatonic scale. Almost everybody knows that. So then we're going to highlight the top two strings, and we're going to go from the top end, 15, 14, 12, 15, 13, 12. And that'll give you the Aeolian notes. Then 15, 14, 12, 15, 14, 12 will give you the Dorian notes. And then 15, 13, 12, 15, 13, 12 will give you the Phrygian notes. And what I find is this, a lot of people will play, say, like do some shred, or now again, playing fast they all sound good, but against a chord progression they may not sound right. The faster you play, the less likely you are to be caught out. I'm going to give you 3 examples following this. Okay, I'm using E minor, C and D chord progression for an E minor Aeolian flavour. Now, we'll use the top 2 strings, 15, 14, 12. 15, 13, 12. The point here is you can shred without thinking as long as you're hitting the right notes. So, in the scale, but I did not deviate from Aeolian other than to add the flat 5 note in some of the runs, which is typical of using pentatonics and even modes. Okay, I'm using E minor, A7 and D chord progression to create the Dorian flavour, E minor. Again, you can use the top 2 strings, 15, 14, 12, 15, 14, 12. And that way you can just turn off and shred. Again, I use the flat 5, and that's pretty cool. Okay, this time I'm using E minor and F and G chord progression to create the Phrygian mode with E minor. Now again, the top 2 strings, 15, 13, 12, 15, 13, 12. And that way you can Okay, in summary, what I want to get across is this. If you play pentatonic only over the 3 different modes or progressions, you'll sound fine. But when you want to start adding the shreddy stuff with the melodicness of the modes, it's where most people make their mistakes. So, 15 and 12, I call that the frame. You know, you can't really go wrong with those sort of runs. It sounds good over anything. Now this is only a root note E progression here, but if I start adding it's those middle notes in between. Now I'll go to Aeolian and I'll give you an example of right and wrong. So if I do the right thing, wrong mode, a lot of people won't hear that that's wrong because it's fast and it's shreddy. To me that was awful, but a lot of people hear that and go, it happens with all the great players. When you're improvising, you can forget, you can be lazy, you can fall into patterns of what you call your confident riffs, and you can fall into the wrong mode at the wrong time. So I still think it pays to know what you're doing. Melodically slow, you're going to sound awful if you're wrong. Fast, you can get away with it. Now this is Dorian. So if I play fast, it sounds fantastic because I'm correct. Now if I use the wrong mode, would say, yeah, but if you're really listening, paying attention, you can hear that wasn't quite right. But because I'm playing fast, the wrong notes are not held for long, so you kind of get away with being wrong. See, I could use all 3 and go, that just sounds like a shredder who knows what he's doing and playing quite well. But that was awful. Only one of those 3 examples there was correct. It really pays to listen and listen carefully. If I go to the Phrygian, this is really distinct. You gotta make sure you're correct. Fast correctly, I mean it's a no-brainer, it sounds good. When I do the wrong mode, again, because I'm playing fast and shreddy, it doesn't sound too bad, but it's the difference, for me, it's the difference between a really great player and a really, I don't know, good player or an average player. Now again, I make this mistake, all my students have made this mistake, and strangely, a lot of the greats make this mistake. So lastly, I will give you just a couple of examples. I'll play slow then fast. Aeolian. So, now, if I go to Dorian,